Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Football Philosophy Podcast. And today it's my absolute pleasure to introduce a very special guest, Mr. Patrick Wilson. This is part of our interview series where we sit down with football coaches and try to understand what makes a great coach. Mr. Patrick Wilson, welcome to the show, mate. You have experience coaching in England, Canada, and in America. You have been involved at AFC Bournemouth as youth development phase coach. You've opened a mentorship program at St. George's Park, and currently, or like I said, you're working with player-specific sessions. So you're doing a lot of things, and you have done so much already. So actually, one of the things that I found out about you was I follow you on Instagram. One of the things that really stand out for me is how much passion and dedication that you have for the game. I can tell really you spend a lot of time in this, like maybe hours and hours every day, on the pitch, working with people. And first of all, where does that passion come from? Because, you're from Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's not...
Born and raised in Canada. Probably my passion probably for football probably came from my dad. My dad's from Birmingham, so obviously football was like his passion sort of thing. So growing up, I did play loads of other sports. I excelled a lot in basketball. That was sort of my main sport probably until I was like 17. But I wasn't tall enough to go and play at a high level. I'm tall, 6'2", but to play basketball, I wasn't tall enough. So probably my last year in secondary school, I did more and more sessions and more training towards football so that I could go and then obtain a football scholarship in America, because I didn't want to stay in Canada. I wanted to go off and do something else. So for me, I just started to train pretty much every single day, and then that helped me just to sort of fall in love with the game of football, and that's sort of where I got my passion from.
Absolutely. So you did a bit of a playing career. Then you went into coaching. Talk to me about that transition from playing into coaching, like a bit of background about yourself as well.
So playing probably started roughly when I was all throughout my childhood, but I said probably at 18 is when I started to get really, really serious about it. So I got a football scholarship to a small school in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yeah. So the name of the school was Cornerstone University, and that school helped me out massively with just my transition into playing, and then obviously then playing professionally as well, because it gave me that environment where I could train every day, work really, really hard, and the coaching staff was excellent as well. The assistant coach was an American guy called Steve Hersman, who had played in the MLS. So we got on a lot, and he helped me, and then he sort of developed me and into a defender sort of thing. Yeah, so he was a center back as well. He played right back as well, so he helped me a lot and mentored me a lot with it. After that, when I graduated, I just sort of packed my bags really and just went on a few trials and ended up in Belgium. So I played a few seasons in Belgium, and then after those seasons in Belgium, then I went to Hungary as well and played second division in Hungary in that league. Again, experience as well that helped me with, obviously, in Belgium it was a Belgian coach. In Hungary it was a German coach, so their philosophies, the way that they trained, the way that they spoke, the way that they did their training sessions were different, but it helped me with sort of my development into football, and then eventually going into coaching sort of thing. 2011 I picked up an unfortunate injury and I tore my Achilles. So that sort of stopped me from playing at a high level. So I went back, recouped back in Canada, had my surgery, and I was probably out of the game for about 8 months. So I started doing rehab. I started working with my mother-in-law at the time, just doing different things with her accounting job and so on. And they did offer me sort of a full-time role doing accounting, but for me, that's not me. I'm more outdoorsy, kicking the ball around, yelling, screaming, running around. So that was me. And then the opportunity came for me to come over to England on the Isle of Wight, funny enough. And then I started doing some stuff with AFC Bournemouth on the Isle of Wight. And that's sort of my journey and transition into coaching.
Absolutely. I mean, that sounds incredible. Like you all the way from Canada, you go playing in Belgium, Hungary, then you get injured. You don't know what to do after that. Was your interest in coaching? Was it born out of basically being retired, being forced to retire at such an early age, or was it just something that you've always been interested in? Because to go from a player where all you're thinking about is just about your game, about yourself, and that's it. Like, I know footballers say like it's all about the team and football cliches, but at the end of the day, once that game is finished and your coaching session is finished and you go home, you're not thinking about anything else. You go home to your family, to your friends, and that's it. But as a coach, 24/7, you have to be involved in the game. You have to be obsessed with it. So to go from a player to a coach, how did you find that transition?
I found it quite easy, to be honest, because I knew at the end of football, whenever that was going to be, like my playing career, I knew that I wanted to be a coach. So when I was over in America, that sort of thing, I was always coaching. I was always doing one-to-ones, that sort of thing. I didn't have any of my licenses, anything like that. I was just literally, if a kid wanted to do a training session, I would just do it for sort of extra money. So I knew that sort of thing, the coaching was going to be my next route. But obviously it just came quicker than I expected, sort of thing. So yeah, I only played probably four years professionally, and then that was it. Then the injury happened. 2025. That's when I transitioned and then started to do the coaching. So yeah, it came quicker than I wanted, but it was sort of like a blessing in disguise doing it.
Yeah, and what I want to get into is, I actually like to talk to coaches about this a lot. We've seen a lot of young kids being released from like top academies, and then they're going to like sometimes they go into a meltdown or a bit of depressed because the way they get released sometimes is not really the best way. Like they probably get a letter or an email, and the whole world is shattered because from young age they've been preparing to go into the first team and play at high level, and then because they can't do that now, they see that there's no other options there. So do you give any advice to young kids out there, like if you can't get involved in playing the game, there's other routes that you can still be involved in the game? Because I do believe that even we need ex players, even who played at a young age, to even be something like referees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good way, just to have different eggs in different baskets. So if you can, I think it's probably, I don't know the age now, probably 16 that you can start your level one. Start your level one. It doesn't hurt, and I think a lot of clubs are doing that now with sort of like the youth team players and so on. They go and they get their level one, they get their level two. So it's just giving them sort of like a fallback plan into it. Whereas gone in the day, if you're just a youth team player, you're just there like playing, and then you're trying to get into the first team, and hopefully you do get into the first team, but there's no backup plan. With these now, they're doing education. So then if they do get released, then most of them could probably then go to America on scholarship. So they're giving them different avenues and different pathways to further their football, maybe as a player or maybe as like a coach or, like you said, like a referee as well. So there's different ways. So I would tell players to just have different eggs in different baskets. Don't I know like
Yeah.
footballers that you want to be a football, you want to be sort of like the next millionaire, but there's only like a slim chance of you actually going from an under-9 player into the first team, playing Premier League football or Championship League 1, League 2. It's such a difficult thing. So many things have to go right for you. But then I would say just keep educating yourself and have different streams of other things that you might do after you've done football. When there's no more football, what's sort of your backup plan? Because it could come quicker than you think.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is very true. Now let's talk a bit about you. I've seen that you've done in 2019. You spent time at St George's Park, England, where you were working with the youth team. What was that experience like, and how different is it to like when you're involved at, for example, a club like AFC Bournemouth? What are the differences in terms of level, in terms of players or facilities?
It's honestly like probably the best experience I've had working with players. So obviously the players there, we did how many camps? I think I did four camps throughout the year. It was a year placement with the under 16s. So yeah, the players are phenomenal. They're all from Tottenham, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Leicester. They're from everywhere. So all the top clubs, and you have the best of the best in the country there.
Yeah.
So training facility always sharp. So everyone's always on it from the word go. Yeah, the facilities, obviously all the training camps were at St. George's Park. Yeah, so amazing facility, amazing pitches, amazing coaches that I got to work with as well. So yeah, it was just an amazing experience. With the players, for them, they know that they're going to be the next, like I call them like millionaires. So they know that when they're finished under 16s, they're trying to get to the under 18s, then they're trying to get into the first team. So for them, their mentality is different. Their training is different. It's sharper. They're just like the Rolls Royce sort of thing of players to go. So the sessions were amazing, and it was great to be involved with them for the year.
What is it that makes them, like you said, you described them, they believe that they can be the next millionaires because they are big clubs. What is the difference, like in terms of players being at that level, or for example, AFC Bournemouth or Plymouth, or when they are, for example, big clubs? You know, how is it different? Is it because of the coaches that are available, or is it just down to motivation?
Bit of both. I think more motivation. So the club that they're at, they could probably see maybe like a pathway or an exit route. So maybe, okay, they might not make the first team, but then they might go on loan to another club. But when they do go on loan, it's probably going to be like to a higher like championship club. So they see more of a pathway to their end goal sort of thing. And a lot of them as well, if they're at Tottenham or at Man United, plus they're getting caps for England as well, it's going to be a greater opportunity for them to get somewhere else, to get a good club, because their CV would have been built up throughout the years. So they have, just say, 10 caps for England. They're playing under 18s, under 21s at Tottenham. Their pathway to the first team or to a first team club is going to be greater than someone else that might be playing Cat 3 football, that sort of thing. So right. It all depends. It's just their mentality. They're around the game more often than some of like the Cat 2, Cat 3s. Better facilities that they train in at their clubs. Better coaches. So it's just a stream of better things for them to reach their end goal.
Yeah, and what I'm interested in knowing more about you is your philosophy as a coach, like in terms of not just the playing wise. So let's get into the playing wise first. What formation do you use, or is it about the players that you have? Then I want to get into like the attitude side of the players. Like, what is it that you look for specifically? So let's talk about the playing side first, of your philosophy.
Yeah, for me, it obviously it's what you have there. So whatever group that you have, work on the best formation for you. In an ideal world, I know we don't live in an ideal world, but I'm playing 4-3-3 all day. 4-3-3. That's for me is the ideal one. Yeah. So you have your two center halves, your right back, your left back. I'd probably go with maybe one holding midfielder, one in front, and then a 10, and then the three up top. That's my ideal formation. My ideal player. Sorry, say it again.
That's Pep's Barcelona system. Pep Guardiola.
Yeah. Barcelona. I just love that sort of formation. Playing wise, I like working with players that are just gonna put forth all their effort all the time. I know you see there's some players that they're amazing technically, but then they lose the ball and they don't work back. I want players to work both ends of the pitch. So when we lose the ball, we're sprinting, we're pressing, we're trying to win the ball back as quickly as we can. When we're on the ball, like, express yourself, do what you need to do, like, enjoy it, have good possession, ball speed, all of that, like, enjoy it. But I like players that are going to work hard for the team. So they're there for themselves. Yeah, they're trying to do bits and do what they need to do for themselves, but they're a team player first. Yeah, so I like hard working players that are going to help the team. Yeah, unselfish players in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it has to be, because you look into the system. Every successful team that has ever been there, every single player, whether it's for example Alex Ferguson's teams, Pep Guardiola's teams, AC Milan of 1988, all the great teams ever, they've had hard-working players, and we've even seen it with Bayern Munich last season when they won the Champions League. That they press as a team, like they from the front. That's how they managed to win the Champions League. You look at teams like Leeds United, who got promoted into the Premier League. It was all about pressing and working hard. Obviously, you had also Klopp, Liverpool's Klopp, basically playing with that pressing system again. So working hard work is very important. Absolutely. I want to give you an example. Like someone like Sean Dyche, he said in an interview, like he looks into the players, like how they he looks into little things like how they are around the canteen room, if they're helping the other teammates, if they're helping the kitchen lady, or just something, the little things. Is there things like that that you look for that can tell you a lot about the player?
Of course, yeah, of course. And like things like that, like you just said, like helping the kitchen lady. They probably don't have like a personal relationship, but it's like the kindness, goodness of his heart that he's helping out. So if he's doing that for someone that he doesn't know, he's going to do that for his teammates as well, to work and to graft and that sort of thing. So that little things like that go a long way for the gaffer's selection on a Saturday or on a Sunday. So definite.
Very important, yeah. In your current role now, how do you focus on improving players, not just technically, tactically, but also physically?
It's a bit of everything I do with them. So basically, I think with me that the joy of the one-to-ones and sort of like the small group sessions that I'm doing is I just get to work with a specific player and I get to know them. So I can see their strengths and weaknesses and when they're getting better every time. So a lot of the times I go in and do my sessions, see what they need to work on, what they feel that they want to work on, and then obviously put in my 2 cents of what I feel like they need to work on as well at the level that they're at. So a lot of the players that I work with, they are academy players, some of them that come in and want to do some extra sessions, but majority of them are grassroots players. So they sometimes they haven't really had like the coaching that you're supposed to have at the level that they're playing at, maybe under 15 or under 16. So like simple things like maybe receiving with the back foot or standing before they receive the ball. The little things like that, those little details, I nail all the time for them. So a lot of them, they're up to scratch with like the physical side of it. So they can run fast, they can jump high, they can compete with academy players on that level. But it's the little basics that have been drilled into academy players, probably from pre-academy, from under sevens and so on, that they lack. So it's just more getting those things into them so that it becomes second nature when they do play for their club team. I do a lot as well when I do.
So in terms of like, for example, grassroots level football, I always talk about the importance of communication, basically being able to communicate with your team, whether you want them to play defensive football, attacking football, or sometimes playing with high risk. With high risk comes with good reward, as well as sometimes it has its own dangers. How do you communicate with that about that with them?
It's just openly, just communicate, obviously vocally, or by showing them as well. So maybe like a tactics board. A lot of it, even if I'm doing like a one-to-one session and we're doing like a drill or anything like that, I sort of revert it back to where they would be on the pitch. So okay, if you were just saying a left back and we're working on the wrap pass down the line, so you could use that sort of pass in this sort of situation. So I do bring out a lot of the tactics boards. I set up 11 players, and then when we're working on our different technical passing, maybe our shooting, I would show them the areas that they're going to be doing this in, so that they can then get it instilled in their mind, and then they know, okay, if I'm going to be in this position on a Saturday, this is when I'm going to use this sort of skill or technique, and so on. So it's just relating the game back to them, and making it simple so that they understand their roles and responsibility when they do play for their team.
Yeah, that's very important. Sometimes when I speak to coaches, like they say, it's very important to know whether the difference between keeping the training fun and keeping it hard. Because if your training is hard throughout the whole week, when it's game day on Saturday, these players are going to be ready for the game because they've done the hard bit. How do you balance between the two, the fun part and the playing part and the training part?
Oh, it comes sort of second nature as a coach. You have to have elements of fun. Obviously, when they come into the training ground, you do have that sort of like banter, maybe a bit when they come in, they're doing the warm up, they get the rondo in. But for players, they need to know when it's going to be fun time and when it's like, okay, we're going to nail it and we're going to be working really, really hard. So I think like the top players or the players that go on to like play at a decent level, they can switch it. So they can know, okay, we're going to be doing this. We're going to have a bit of laugh and joke, okay, before the warm up. But then as soon as the whistle's blown and we're starting our warm up, or we're getting into our technical drills and that sort of thing, it's a switch, and then we can go in and do stuff. So a lot of players, a lot of coaches as well, it's like drill sergeant stuff. I think that side of the game nowadays is sort of over. You have to have that sort of balance where like good cop, bad cop sort of thing. So it's like you have that balance, and knowing the players. Some players, they might not want to have that sort of fun. So okay, that those players, they're going to be on it from the get-go. But then you have to know your players inside and out to know which ones you can push really, really hard, which ones you can joke with, which ones you can be a bit more serious with. So it's just knowing your players.
Absolutely. That's one thing that Sir Alex Ferguson always used to talk about. Yeah, he would have Eric Cantona, he would have Wayne Rooney, he would have Louis Nani, just all different types of players, and he would know exactly how to deal with each one of them, different personalities. Obviously, we all want to be at his level one day, but how can we learn to how can more coaches learn to gain more experience? Is it just simply as building your network, or basically being involved in the game as much as possible?
It's a bit of both. Building your network, because as you know, like football is such a small industry. Everyone knows everyone in football. But obviously, like you see some managers and some coaches, they are good coaches, but sometimes they get to where they are as coaches because of who they know, sort of thing. It's not sort of always like what you know, but it's who you know. So I say build a good team, get a good network system, because then that could lead to jobs as well. And also you have to be ready for your opportunity as well. So as a coach, or even as a player as well, you have to be like obsessed with the game. So when you can, watch as much football as you can. When you can, like if you're in like a professional environment, maybe you're like the under 14s coach at your club, see if you can go and watch the under 18s and see how they work, or maybe then go see the under 23s. Or if you're fortunate enough, and it's obviously now with COVID you can't really do it, but maybe then go and see if you can watch the first team work. And then you get little bits of that's in, and then plug into maybe the age group that you're working with. There's a bit of both. Building your network is good, because that's going to lead to other things in the future. But then obviously then being obsessed with the game, where it's your life sort of thing. So you're always trying to get better, develop, and learn different things.
Yeah, and just about that, you've also done futsal coaching. How does that help you in your football coaching now?
No, it's good really, because I grew up in futsal. So obviously, like when I was over in America for the 4 years, there's a lot of Spanish players in there, so they played futsal. So for those 4 years, I played futsal as well, along with the football as well. And that helped me with my technical ability so much. So even though I do play centre back, I have decent feet just because of playing futsal, which has helped me obviously then. If there's any pressure on the ball when I'm playing, or when I did play, I have that confidence that I can play up in the back easily because of futsal sort of thing. Futsal is very, very good for technical skills, 1v1 scenarios, different overloads like 2v1s, 3v2s. So working out those problems and how you can exploit teams in those situations as well helps. So futsal is a great game, and I would promote that to any footballer from their 7 all the way up, because it's gonna improve them sort of thing. Yeah, it's a faster tempo. Yeah. The ball's smaller, so it always stays on the ground. It's weighted as well, so it's good for all that technical stuff. And as you can see, every level of football now, from the Premier League all the way down to Conference National, everyone's trying to play out from the back. Can they have that technical number 10, that sort of thing? So futsal helps with all that development.
Absolutely. And it makes the training fun, yes? Like if you, instead of them always focusing on football, they can play futsal with you, like, because, or they can play a different sport like basketball, just something to make it fun, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it, and of course. Handball, the good hand-eye coordination, yeah. It's all good little stuff that you could introduce into your training programs.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Oh, okay, you're frozen there. Yeah. If I just talk to you a little bit about, Okay. Is it okay now?
It's good now. It's good now. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I want to talk to you about, for example, Canadian players like Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David as well. We've had also a lot more American players now in the Premier League, in Barcelona, in Juventus. They're getting a lot more involved in European football, and that a lot more great talents are coming out of there. Did you see this coming like years ago when you were there, or when you first getting started with your coaching career?
There's so much talent in Canada and America. So I'll use my experience in Canada. There's so many cultures in Canada. So there's Jamaicans, there's Spanish, there's Indian, there's every nationality is in there. There's so much people that play football. But I think where Canadians struggle with is sort of getting the tactical bit right. So players knowing their roles and responsibility from an earlier age. So the coaching side of it isn't up to scratch yet of what the level of is at the European level, sort of thing. Technically, I feel like the players are on par with them, but it's more the coaching and knowing the roles and responsibility of what maybe a center half has to do, or a right wing or a right back. That side of the game is lacking. I feel as well Canadian players and American players, they're very, very, very good technically, and they're good at in 1v1 situations, but they're not really yet team players in a sense. So they won't do the little bit of extra work that's going to be needed to then go into like a European environment where it's about the team. So it's more, they have all like the individual attributes to do it, but then it's then when they go into like the European lifestyle, a totally different lifestyle than what you would do in Canada or in America. Yeah. Just
I can imagine.
Just basic stuff. Yeah. Just little things. And obviously in North America, football isn't our first sport. So you have American football, you have basketball, you have ice hockey. I would even put sometimes even like athletics is in front of soccer or football. So it's like our fifth sport where, it needs to be sort of our first love. Was in the UK, it's football first, and then probably you'd have maybe rugby, then cricket. So it's not our first love in a sense, where players play other sports instead of football.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So in terms of you personally, Patrick, who has been instrumental in your coaching career so far? Are there any coaches or maybe ex-professional coach that you've looked up to? Or is there any coaches that right now currently you look up to?
Starting my career, so probably the person that sort of gave me my shot in coaching was a guy at AFC Bournemouth called Paul Topping. So he sort of helped me and started me. He was the owner of my club in Belgium. And then in 2011, when we sort of like rekindled and I reached out to him, he sort of brought me to England. So for there, I would say he helped me transition into a coach because he gave me free reign of what I wanted to do. So obviously he did help me in a sense, but then he allowed me just to be me and just to learn and be on the grass as much as possible. Because when I came over to the UK, I was coaching 7 days a week. So that helped me massively in my development. So I knew I could figure out, okay, that went well, so I'm going to do that for the next session. Or that didn't go well, so I'm not going to do that. So he was instrumental in starting me on my coaching journey. I'd say my youth team coach in Canada, a guy called Trevor McCallum, he was inspirational for me because I seen how much passion he had for the game and how much he developed sort of like the core group of players that we had as well. And he was from Birmingham as well, but then moved to Canada. So he was inspirational to me because he had so much passion for it. He did it all the time, but he wasn't being paid for it. He was a dad, but he was just more than a dad football coach in a sense because he had that experience playing in England. He had like a cap for Canada as well. So he was a professional player, but he was a dad, but he helped us so much. I could see how he did the session and how much passion he had for the game. And that's what the passion that I still have in the game and trying to develop players as well.
Absolutely.
And current managers is just the norm. It's just the normal for current managers is Pep, like just how he is. He's just still like so in love with the game. Like you can tell on the touch line, he's very animated. He wants his team to win. He wants his team to play well all the time. And then you see his little like YouTube clips of him coaching. He just has so much passion for the game, and that's, I think, with coaching or with anything, if you don't have that enthusiasm or passion for what you do, then you're not going to do it 100%. So I'd probably say those three have helped me massively with sort of my coaching journey in a sense.
Yeah, I agree with you about Pep Guardiola, because this guy, you can see how much obsessed he is, well, how obsessed he is with the game, and you have to be like that. You can't just be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You know, one thing that I also wanted to talk to you about, which you mentioned, was you said that one of your or one of the persons, one of the people that you look up to, I mean, one of the people who have been instrumental for you, they were just doing it and they weren't getting paid, so it was like a voluntary role. How important is that for any young coach out there to do voluntary work instead of just waiting for an opportunity where they can get paid?
It is. I think if you can get it and you can be volunteer in the game, do it, because you never know what it will lead into. So you might go in there volunteer, and you're just like, oh, I'm just here to volunteer, and you don't do your best job. When you go in there and you volunteer, do your best job, because then it might lead into others as well. Because there's a lot of schemes going around where coaches, are going into like football clubs, so like Leeds, different things, Leicester, whatever clubs that are doing it, and they go in there, do really, really well. They're helpful. They're helping the coach, and then it could lead to them getting maybe a part-time role at the club, or maybe if they're fortunate enough, maybe a full-time role as well. So I think it's important to, when you can and you can get your foot in the door, to volunteer. I know, yes, it is good that you get paid and that sort of thing, but there's sort of layers and steps before you can get to that sort of thing. So the more experience you have, the more that you're involved in it, then that's when you can start getting that sort of payment, and once you build up your reputation as a coach, then all those things will follow.
I also wanted to talk to you about, sometimes we've seen a lot of people, like a lot of the guys that I know who are trying to get into coaching, sometimes they get rejected. How do you deal with rejection, in terms of, like, how do you keep going? What is it that motivates you to keep going and always trying to do better?
It's something that's just within. So you got to keep going. If this is what you want to do, like for a career or for a profession, there's going to be knockbacks, setbacks all the time. Yeah, you're going to go to places, interviews, and they're going to say no. They might not give you like the right like explanation of why you didn't get the job, but you got to have that hunger and desire in you just to keep going. So you got to think there's hundreds of professional teams in England, but then there's non-league football as well. So if this is something that you want to do and you take it like passionately, and this is something that you want to do for a career, there's going to be rejections, there's going to be setbacks, but you have to get over those setbacks quickly and then keep going. It's just sort of like a mindset, and it's something that's within that. I'm going to make it. It's almost like that confidence, that belief that I'm going to make it at a football club, regardless of the situation, in a sense.
Yeah, finally. What I want to talk to you about is, you used to be a defender, but you said that you wasn't like a old school defender. Like you used to play, you can play with your ball. I mean, you can play with your feet, so you have quite technical feet. So in today's game, out of current defenders that are active, who are your top 5?
Oof. I couldn't list you 5, but like I like John Stones. I've always liked John Stones, but now he's matured his game, so he knows when he can play out from the back. Man City, that's their game, playing out from the back. But then when he actually has to be like a true defender. So I think the defending nowadays, you have to be able to mix it up. So you got to be able to do the ugly side of it, head it, kick it away when you need to, but then you have to have that technical ability as well. Yes, I like John Stones. I like David Alaba from Bayern Munich. I think he's sort of like undersized for his for that position as well, like height-wise, everything. But he's just an animal. He's quick. He gets stuck in, and he has that technical ability as well. I like him. Alphonso Davies, I'm a bit biased because he's Canadian, so I'll put him there as well. Just from his story, if you watch on YouTube or if you read about him, his story, obviously, like being a refugee, coming over to Canada, then playing in the MLS when he was like 16, and then going to a giant club like Bayern Munich. Just his story alone, I put him in there. And for him, just tenacious. He's still so young, so I don't even think half the time he's really like realizing like what he's doing in a sense. So like not realizing what he's doing, but like the scenes that he's playing for, maybe the club that he's playing for, or he just played in like a Champions League final. I don't think it's dawned on him that he's playing at that level. I think for him, he's still like just a kid in the candy shop. So he's just playing like as a normal like 21, 22-year-old, and he's not really phased of the occasion, which I like as well. So he just goes out there and he's up and down. His cardiovascular levels, his speed, everything like that. It's just like he's one of the top defenders, left backs in the world, sort of thing. So yeah, I rate him a lot. Who else? People are gonna laugh at me when I say this as well, but I was watching the other day, Chris Smalling. I still rate him as well. Like they got pumped at 6-2 by Man United. But even in there, I've been watching little bits of Italian football as well. I just like him because he's like a traditional center half. So he knows when he can head it, when he can kick it. He's getting blocks for you. He's putting his body on the line, which is what you need to do. And then he can play a bit as well, because obviously the Italian league is a bit slower, so you do have more time on the ball. So being able to pass the ball and be like efficient with your passing, your range of passing into the midfield or maybe into your striker, I think you can do all that well. Which is good. I'm having a brain fart as well for the last one. You got to help me. Sorry. Silva.
I mean,
Thiago.
Yeah, Thiago Silva, Sergio Ramos, Virgil van Dijk.
I forgot about Ramos as well. I forgot about Ramos.
You remember this morning, yeah?
Yeah. Oh boy, you know what? Yeah, forget my list. But yeah, I forgot about Van Dijk because he hasn't played all year. Yes. And Ramos is like, I like Ramos as well. Just an animal. He plays both. Yeah.
If I'm looking at your list, if I'm looking at your list now, you've got John Stones number 5, David Alaba number 4, and Alphonso Davies number 3. Yeah. Then it comes down to Sergio Ramos and Van Dijk. Yeah. Who are you gonna have number 2 and number 1?
Okay. I'm gonna have. This is gonna sound bad. I'm gonna have Van Dijk 2, Sergio Ramos 1.
Okay.
Just for me, I think what separates them is probably goals. Sergio Ramos will score more. So he'd be one to like score headers in the box. He's sometimes occasionally I've seen him take pens and so on for Madrid and for Spain. So I think it goes down for goals. Just being like a predator in the box, he might get you like a late equalizer. Whereas I'd go from there. But Van Dijk, I forgot about Van Dijk just because he hasn't played all season. That's why. That's
understandable, mate. Like a lot of people have forgotten about him, except Liverpool fans. They haven't stopped mentioning his name every single time they lose or they draw. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. For me, Sergio Ramos has been the best defender of this decade without a shadow of a doubt. His consistency, the clutch goals, the big moments that he came up with in the Champions League, and even winning the World Cup with Spain in 2010. On the Euros also, with Spain. So he's been amazing. And then Virgil van Dijk, out of nowhere, in the last 2-3 years, has risen. His stock has risen a lot. But for him to eclipse what Sergio Ramos has been, I think he would have to play at the top of his game like he has been for the last 2 years. He would have to do it for another 5 years at least to be better than, Sergio Ramos. So I do agree with you in your ratings like that. And you know what? I like that you mentioned David Alaba and John Stones, because when people talk about the top defenders today, they don't really talk about these guys. I like John Stones because he has so much confidence, so much charisma. His mate this season that's playing at Man City, Ruben Diaz, has been absolutely incredible. So I like your ratings a lot. Now we're just gonna finish with quick fire questions. Yeah, it's been absolute blast. By the way, I have to say, really enjoyed your conversation. All right, so here's the first question.
Good, thank
Yeah, here's my first question. Pep or Jose Mourinho?
you. Pep.
Yeah, that's an easy one, isn't it, for you? All right. Would you rather win 1-0 or win 4-3?
4-3.
Yeah? Okay.
Goals. I like exciting football. I don't like the one where you probably nick a goal early and then you sit back and it's more tactical. I'd rather win, 4-3, and then you can discuss at the end of the game why you conceded the 3 goals and then lessen the 3 goals in the next game. So yeah, this gives us something to work on. Yeah, in the training sessions.
Yeah. If you've missed at the beginning, I mentioned that Patrick is from Canada. So if you don't now, this will probably help you understand the North American side of his, because it's all about, for him, it's all about the entertainment. But for us as Europeans, is about how can you make sure that you win this game. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
all right.
of course.
Would you rather? Yeah, what was that?
No, it's good.
Okay.
Good. It's back on now. It's frozen again.
All right. Okay. Would you rather 1-0 defeat in 5 different games or lose 5-0 in one game?
Oh boy, 1-0 defeats. 1-0 defeats in 5 different games. That's probably what I go for.
Okay. For me, I'll go the opposite way. I'd rather just get out of the way. Beat me 5-0 one time, and I'm gonna show videos all week exactly where they went wrong, so this doesn't happen ever again. Yes, you see how Leicester recovered from losing 9-0 into when they finished halfway mid-table in the next season, in the same season. So that was good. But yeah, I get where you're coming from as well, because you don't want to see your team conceding 5 goals or 6 goals in one game. That kills the confidence of the players. All right, here's the next question. This is an interesting one, and I don't really know where you're gonna go with this, because normally when I'm talking to the coaches, I can tell whether they're gonna go this way or that way. But for you, I can't tell. Messi or Ronaldo?
Oh gosh, I'm biased just because I'm a Man United fan. He's played Ronaldo, but Messi is on there. In both incredible, but Messi is just like incredible as well. But I'm just biased because he played for United. I just like his journey, like how he started at Sporting, and then he just worked his way up, sort of thing. So I always back Ronaldo in a sense.
Patrick, you're speaking to the choir, because I'm exactly the same. I'm a United fan, but I have to say Ronaldo, because I'm just being biased like you. So we'll go with that. But Messi, technically, for me, the second best player to ever touch the ball. Behind Maradona, then I would have Messi, then Cruyff. But yeah, so it goes like that. Now, this is the last question. What is your favorite league to watch?
Premier League, easily. Premier League, 100%.
Yeah. Entertainment again. There goes.
Yeah, Premier League, best league in the world. And I think it's the most watched league as well around the world. Everyone wants to watch the Premier League. Every player's dream is to play in England. So I think the Premier League, best league in the world to watch. Obviously, I do watch other football, from even up to the MLS. I'll watch Bundesliga, Serie A, Ligue 1, everything. But Premier League's the best league in the world.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's in the most entertainment. Now.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. And what I want people to learn from this video is the work that you're doing right now, how you're working to develop players. I'm following on Instagram. I'm always liking your videos. You're doing a lot of great work. How can people get in touch with you? How can people find out about what you do?
I'm on virtually every social media. So Instagram, Patrick Wilson _training. So you can find me on there. I'm on Twitter as well. So I'm quite active on Twitter, which is _Patrick G Wilson. Yeah, those are the two main ones that I use. LinkedIn, I have all of that as well, which is just Patrick Wilson. And yeah, I post daily. I just post sort of my life in general. So what I'm doing, obviously, I'm a father as well. So I post loads of stuff with like my kids, because that keeps me motivated to know why I'm doing like what I'm doing. And yeah, I just love the game of football, and I love developing players. That's my main thing. And I love just seeing the progression of coming to me with probably limited technical ability, limited confidence, to then after a few weeks, after a few months, you can see the development of the player. So that's my main aim, is just to continue developing players and just continuing to develop myself as a coach, and to continue doing good things as a coach as well.
Absolutely, I like that. And guys, listen, if you're playing football and you need help to develop your game, or you can't get into an academy team or anything like that, just get in touch with Patrick. He's really going to help you to develop your game to the next level. Whether it's you're a defender or a midfielder or a striker, Patrick is your guy. So guys, that's all we got time for today. I've had a lot more questions prepared for Patrick, but unfortunately we're running out of time. And I'm sure you have better things to do. Yeah, I'm sure you're busy. You're a busy guy. So thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to speak with us. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, because I really enjoyed talking to Patrick, I'm sure you guys have learned a lot from this. Just drop a like, subscribe, and get in touch with us on our socials. Till next time, take care.